Yeah, boss of YouTube, Elmas here, and yeah, kind of finally back from my trip to Tennessee. Originally, I wanted this to be a Showdown live, but Showdown is being very laggy and rather frustrating. So I looked at my replays and I found this pretty kind of old battle, not gonna lie, but it was still very, very close. So hopefully you guys do enjoy, and if you do, make sure to show our support, hit the like button down below, and yeah, hopefully I can kind of come back for daily uploads. If not, then maybe every other day, but we'll see how things work out and all that shenanigans. Anyways, it's been a while since I've done this, so hopefully I have not forgotten what to say. So, look at that team preview. I'm using a team that I actually did a Showdown live with. As I said, this battle is kind of old, so if you guys do want to see the Showdown live, a link to that will be down in the description, so you guys can go check that out and get to know the team better. Looking at my opponent's team, which I'm pretty sure was Richard, because let's be honest, the man is quite obsessed with Taylor Swift. The biggest threats I saw going into this battle were going to be Salamence and Lucario, because Doublade is really my only answer to both of those, and that's if Salamence does not carry Fire Blast. So Doublade is going to be very crucial to me in this match, not to mention that it also deals with Florges, his Aerodactyl, his Espeon, his Krogan. Basically, Doublade deals with his entire team, so I knew that keeping that would definitely be very good for me. So expected him to end up leading off with the Espeon. I actually ended up leading off with my Aerodactyl, but he ends up leading off with Lucario. Fearing the potential CC, I'm going to switch directly into my Doublade, as he does end up making the safe play, knowing that he can live any one hit I want to go for. As I make a double switch into my Heliolisk, I'm thinking, okay, he's going to switch out, and I can Volt Switch on out of whatever he decides to bring in, but no, he stays in, and as I Volt Switch into Doublade, he makes a very excellent play, predicts that, and goes for the Fire Blast, and like I mentioned, Doublade took on his entire team. So that was, I wouldn't say that was a risky play on my part, because it could have been pretty safe for him to go for a Dragon Dance there, but him making this very early on game prediction of a Fire Blast and weakening Doublade means that Toxicroak, Lucario, and Mega Arrow have become big problems as well, so I really have to prevent them from potentially setting up or putting in too much work against my team, as I'm basically going to be forced to leave in Doublade for Death Fodder. So I'm just going to go for the Shadow Sneak, try to get off as much damage as possible. As he's able to knock me out with another Fire Blast, I can now get a free switch into my Heliolisk, and I can pretty much just go for another Volt Switch, as he actually ends up making these safe switches this time into Florges. I'm assuming just wanting to save Salamence, as I actually go for the Hyper Voice. Okay, so I'm thinking I did predict him to bring in Florges, then this way I get off more damage with the combination of Hyper Voice and Volt Switch as opposed to just Volt Switch. And I bring in my Entei because I believe this is actually my Assault Vest Entei, so I can take any move that he does want to go for and potentially get a burn on whatever he decides to bring in, but he actually decides to just fodder off his Salamence, which is fine for me because now I no longer have to worry about it, which is really great. However, though, this does give him a free switch into Mega Arrow, and looking at my team and looking at his team, Entei is actually a very huge help to me, so I decided to switch into my Fortress. This was a Custop lead Fortress, so I think what I do here is just end up going for the Rabbit Spin on the off chance that he did want to bring in the Espeon, thinking I would try to go for the Stealth Rocks or go for a Lair Spikes, as I make a very, very risky play here, and I predict him to go for the Swords Dance, expecting me to maybe want to switch out, and I get on my Rocks, which is going to be really good for me as I'm able to go for the Explosion on this Toxicroak, allowing me to now bring in my Entei and pretty much safely go for the Extreme Speed, because I really have no reason not to. As he decides to bring in the Aerodactyl, I'm thinking, okay, this turn is going to predict me to switch out, so I can stay in and potentially go for a Sacred Fire. However, though, against my better judgment, I decide to make the safe switch into my Manchild, predicting the Stone Edge, not wanting to lose Entei, as it turns out that he has Defog on Aerodactyl, as well as Espeon with Magic Bounce, so he really does not want any hazards on his field. As I just barely miss out on the KO on Florges, I decide to switch directly back into my Entei, as he turns out to have the Psychic, so I'm thinking that he was more of an offensive Florges, because he had a few opportunities to be able to go for the Wish and Protect, but it's fine, as I'm able to knock him out. I'm going to make a very risky play here, and this time I'm going to stay in predicting him to predict me to switch out. As I go for the Sacred Fire, unfortunately, I get no burn, and here I'm going to be forced to just fodder off my Entei as I try to get off a bit of chip damage with the E-Speed, as I can get a free switch into my Manchild, and I'm pretty much guaranteed to knock something out on his team, just because even Espeon does not appreciate two reckless high jump kicks coming from Manchild. As I knock out the Toxicroak, I believe is going to bring in the Espeon. Unfortunately, I do not OHKO Espeon, so I'm going to be forced to fodder off my Heliolisk here, sorry, as I believe that now I can bring in my Aerodactyl, and if I'm not mistaken, a Stone Edge will be enough to knock out the Espeon, but I believe I ended up going for the Aerial Ace, predicting him to want to bring in the Lucario, as here I have to rely on potentially winning a speed tie, which I'm guessing I did, as I'm able to knock out the Aerodactyl. He still actually has a chance to win this battle. As he brings in Lucario, I'm just going to stay and try to get off as much damage as I can, as it reveals to me that he has the Bullet Punch. Now this turn right here was very, very crucial, because there was one or two plays I could have made, and it was really a 50-50 on whether or not I would win or lose. So if I stayed in, he would be able to knock me out with the Bullet Punch. Then I would have to bring in Manchow, not only hit a high jump kick on this Lucario, but also hope that I could roll a crit on the Espeon to knock that out with a high jump kick. On the other hand, what I could have done, and what I did do, was actually predict him to go for another Bullet Punch and actually switch into my Manchow, which means I pretty much guaranteed the victory in my favor so long as I hit 2 high jump kicks in a row. So I managed to hit the first one, which is really great, and it all comes down to this, whether or not I will be able to hit, and thankfully my Manchow is well trained. I'm going to be able to get out the necessary damage on the Espeon, allow me to bring in my Aerodactyl, and in return knock him out with the Aerial Ace, and that is going to be the very, very narrow 1-0 victory in my favor. So yeah, as I said, definitely a fun, close game. I'm not gonna lie, I did misplay myself. My opponent also kind of did make some bad plays, but in the long run, I thought it was a pretty solid game. And hopefully you guys did enjoy it, and if you did, then you know what to do. With that being said, I will see you all tomorrow, potentially. If not, then definitely the day after. And just, yeah, I'm back, guys. So hopefully all of you will stay here. And with that being said, I will... I keep telling myself I need an outro. I never know what to say. But yeah, thanks for watching. Later, everybody.